So during one of my more recent schizophrenic breakdowns, I decided to remove as many Google services from my life as possible, for privacy reasons, which involved deleting my YouTube Premium account. The YouTube Premium subscription is $16 a month when you sign up on an iPhone, $12 a month when you sign up on a desktop, and $7 a month when you sign up on a desktop with a student email. YouTube Premium comes with some decent perks, which include a YouTube Music subscription, the ability to download YouTube videos, ad-free YouTube, and background play on iOS, which is the ability to exit the app or lock your phone while the video's audio continues to play in the background. I speculate the reason Google can charge such ridiculous prices is because iOS makes it almost impossible to modify functions such as background play without jailbreaking the device, or sideloading a third-party application, which requires a developer account, which costs about $100 a year. And your third-party app will likely be revoked from your device every other day for no reason at all. Android, which is owned by Google, who owns YouTube, for some reason allows the app YouTube Vanced on their app store. YouTube Vanced basically gives you most of the YouTube Premium features for free. I'm not sure what the business model is here, but YouTube Vanced isn't available on iOS, and probably won't ever be, because it likely violates Apple's incredibly vague developer guidelines about, copying other content from apps or something. As someone who's not accustomed to being bombarded with ads, the free YouTube experience gave me a bit of culture shock. And after seeing the same crypto shill ad for the 10th time in a row, I set out to find a low-effort solution to this issue. Well, that's not what ended up happening. However, I did learn some interesting tricks while going down this rabbit hole. Bootleg YouTube Premium is my over-engineered yet barely functional response to the greedy practices of Alphabet Incorporated. Bootleg YouTube Premium integrates iOS shortcuts, a remote Linux server running Apache, and the Python YouTube DL library to give you most of the YouTube Premium experience at a fraction of the price. iOS Shortcuts is a visual scripting app similar to macOS's Automator. Introduced in iOS 12, Shortcuts allowed users to build simple macros such as sending emails or making complex calendar invites. In iOS 13, Apple added the ability for the Shortcuts app to send commands to a remote server over the SSH protocol, which opened up a lot of opportunities. The shortcut I have for this is only 2 commands because most of the work is done on the server side. The first command contacts the remote server and passes the user's clipboard as an argument to a Python script. This command can be triggered by double tapping the back of the user's iPhone after copying a YouTube link to the clipboard. This feature is called tapback and can be configured to run shortcuts using the accessibility settings. Also, the link does not explicitly have to be a YouTube link. YouTube DL supports over 370 different websites. However, you might get mixed results on the more obscure ones. After triggering this action and some loading time, the user is redirected by the second command to a Safari web page with the ad-free video on it. Because Safari allows for picture-in-picture and background play, the user is free to leave the app and lock their phone without the audio stopping. So how does this work on the server side? Well, I managed to avoid using a web framework because I was lazy and I figured it would be less computationally expensive, therefore less expensive in general. But that decision also resulted in a 175-line monstrosity that I wrote with little respect for best practices or readability. But it works. Kinda. The first thing it does is take the user's clipboard as an argument, which should be a YouTube URL, and passes it along with a timestamp to a function that runs a subprocess. The Python subprocess module allows you to run shell commands within a Python script, and is incredibly insecure when combined with unsanitized user input. Anyway, this subprocess calls the command line interface of YouTube DL on the URL as a root user, saving it to the webapps/videos directory with a timestamp as the file name. The Python script then calls a function that saves the video title, ID, and timestamp to an SQLite database. This database is used by the preceding functions to keep a history page and prevent duplicate downloads. The make HTML and update library functions use Jinja2 templates saved in the templates directory to generate modern and responsive views for the homepage and library pages. In a continuing theme of terrible security practices, both of these functions pass unsanitized user input to the SQLite commands. After that, the remove db duplicates function functions, ironically, runs through some computationally expensive solution to remove duplicate entries from the database and media directories. It then runs another subprocess that calls a shell script that moves the generated HTML files and downloaded media to the default Apache web directory. I had to do this because I couldn't figure out how to modify the config files without breaking something. Finally, it prints out the URL path to the video that was downloaded. I did this so that the second command on the iOS shortcut can use the URL as an argument to open up the web page for the user. Now I know what you're saying, and yes, anyone who has the IP address can theoretically see what you've been watching. And yes, eventually these pages will get indexed by search engines. And yes, the lack of TLS encryption means that any sysadmin can see the URL paths that you're accessing from your device. But the name of the project is Bootleg YouTube Premium. So in that spirit, the only security strategy I've implemented is a Prohibition-era panic button. It's another iOS shortcut that recursively shreds the history database and video files, then shuts down the server like a 1920s speakeasy getting raided by the feds. But seriously, I would like to improve this project, so the link to the GitHub repository with more detailed instructions on how to set it up is in the description. I invite you to contribute. I also have an affiliate link to vulture.com, which is the hosting provider I used for the remote server in this video. If you sign up using my link, you'll get $100 of free credits, so you can download all of C-SPAN's videos before they purge the clips of congressmen lying about WMDs in Iraq or something. Thanks for watching.